I apologize for that. You'll
At
get
least
to
your
hear from us.
PowerPoint is. This is why we do backups.
Yes, the slides are working, so that's good. Yeah, I really appreciate the invitation and the opportunity to be with you here today. So I have been at Nebraska Indian Community College for about a year. Prior to that, I was at the University of Nebraska Lincoln for about 15 years, and my last role there was state climatologist. So I'm definitely familiar with the extension community and recognize some familiar faces and names on the call here. And then prior to UNL, I was at the University of Alaska in Fairbanks for 7 years. So that's a little bit about me and my background, and really happy to talk about what's going on at Nebraska Indian Community College. So just a little bit about the college. If you're not familiar with us, we've been around for a while. So we were established in 1973. We are accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. There's our current state of the college report. And if you want to download that, if you want quick access to download, then you can point your phone and click on that QR code there. That'll get you to that website. We have three campus locations. So we're located on the Omaha Reservation in Northeast Nebraska. We have a campus at Macy. We have an urban campus at South Sioux City. And then we also serve the Asante or Santee Dakota on the Santee Reservation. They're right at the confluence of the Niobrara and the Missouri River in Northeast Nebraska. Our enrollment has jumped quite a bit, especially in the last 5 years. Currently, our enrollment is almost 900 students, and we started to jump up actually right before COVID, and then the COVID lockdown hit, and a lot of our courses did transition to online modalities, which is something that's continuing today. So that's our enrollment. We are about 75% native, 21% non-native. We have student representation from 53 plus tribal affiliations. And like I mentioned earlier, we do have different course modalities offered to suit the changing needs of students now. We have online courses, we have blended, we do have in-person as well, and most of our classes are in the virtual course modality. So trying to offer courses that suit kind of the changing landscapes of student populations. We are chartered by two tribes, so the Omaha tribe of Nebraska and the Asante or the Santee Sioux Nation. And if you'd like to learn more about the tribes, the tribal history, so I would encourage you to visit those websites there. We've recently implemented something called a co-curricular approach, and there is a web URL. You can read more about that, but I think it's an interesting way to look at curriculum that is outside of the kind of the normal coursework. And so co-curricular is defined by the Higher Learning Commission as learning activities, programs, and experiences that reinforce the institution's mission and values and complement the formal curriculum. So here you can see the tribal is displayed as an acronym. So we have activities that serve our immediate and broader community in areas of tribal culture, reciprocal communication, innovation and technology, balance of the body, mind, heart, and spirit, analytical skills in research, as well as lifelong learning skills. And there is a committee that identifies which activities within the college fit within these different categories. Okay, so given the title of my presentation, I wanted to focus on some specific areas, and I sit within the math and science department, and so it's it's curriculum and programming in these areas that I'm most familiar with, and I'm going to kind of focus on today. And so we'll be talking about food. So here, Erin showed a nice picture of some produce. So here's another one of those. We'll focus on food and water and health and land and air. So and energy. So those are kind of the main themes that I just wanted to touch on and talk about some of the work. Some of this has been ongoing, but some of this is more recent as we've grown over time and added new faculty and new programming. So we'll talk about food first of all. There is a definite focus on health and resilience, health of people, health of the environment, being resilient to food shortages, having access to nutritious food. That's certainly a focus of the college, and in particular serving our local communities. We have Three Sisters Gardens. I'm sure other of you all that are at tribal colleges and representing TCUs have these. So this is the squash, corn, and beans at both our Macy campuses as Santee campus. We have a Three Sisters Garden. We have operational greenhouses that have been going on or established for a few years, both at the Macy and Santee campus. That provides a great learning opportunity for students. One of my student interns, she was a greenhouse intern and got to present her work at a student showcase that we have every semester. So it gives students hands-on experience. It provides food for the NICC community and the local broader community as well. Gives us great produce like what you see here. Um, Within our curriculum, we have gardening courses, we have food preservation courses, like drying this great produce and using it throughout the winter, canning, processing of the local food that's produced, and a community workshop development as well. So trying to increase access to nutritious and healthy foods. And here's just some more nice pictures that help illustrate that. So on the left is one of our greenhouses. That is the one located at our Santee campus. Um, Apple harvest every year. That's always a nice time every year when we're doing that. And then here on the right, we've got some high school students that are in the food preservation class. At each of our campuses, so the three ones that I mentioned, we do have teaching assistants that do focus on food preservation and gardening and host workshops and those sorts of things. So we have expertise that is housed there at the campuses and offer these great courses and workshops, and that's a great way to foster community engagement and involvement. Another aspect that we focus on is the community coming together and integration of food and culture and language. And what you're seeing here is this building of community. It's a chance for folks to come together and practice traditional ways and eat traditional foods and incorporate that language component as well. And so we have language laboratories at both the Santee and Omaha or Macy campus. And what you're seeing here is an advertisement for one of these outreach activities where we again interact with the community. This one is one that I happened to attend. It was my first one since, as I mentioned, I've been with the college for a year, and it was a really great experience. And the organization is very culturally centered and oriented, and each of the participants, we got to sample the local foods. That was actually fixed by an employee and RTA that's at the Macy campus. and learn some language as well. So just a really interesting and unique thing that we have going on in service of the communities. At NICC, we're really fortunate to have a director of Indianpreneurship. This is Chef Anthony Warrior, and he has his own small business. It's called Warrior's Palette. And if you are if you are new to Chef Warrior, is there's quite a bit of information online about him and what he does and his interaction with the community and education and building awareness of nutritional value and importance of native foods. And here is a link to an article that was done about him a few years ago, if you're interested in that. But you can search him up online. But we're very fortunate to have him at the college and to promote not only food but development of small businesses. So at NICC, you can get a bachelor's degree in business administration with a tribal nation building emphasis. And so that's been a definite theme that we've had at the college. We've had some training for faculty, staff, and students at the college, and that's something that is promoted by Chef Anthony here. And whenever we get together as a college and have events and retreats, I'm always excited to see what kind of food he fixes for us and the description, learning about the food, where it comes from, who fixes this, and just looking at it very holistically. So it's a really neat part of what we do at the college. For a while now, there's been a focus on native prairie restoration. The image that we're looking at here, that is last October, that's a picture that I took in our prairie restoration area. We're looking south. And it was 15 years ago, this was in alfalfa production. And what was done, we're transitioning back to native grasses. And this provides a really good and easily accessible natural laboratory for students that are able to get to campus. We have a similar prairie restoration effort going on at the Macy campuses. And so we're tracking how we're managing it over time and doing things like plant counts, analyzing the soil chemistry. So it's a really nice hands-on experiential learning tool for students, and especially those that are able to make it to campus in person. And even for those campus that are joining, or students that are joining remotely, they're able to still look at this information, access the data, and understand what we're doing and why, and what's the importance of restoring to the prairie. The management techniques that we're using is through cutting and haying and burning and going through this particular cycle of management. And here is a quote that is from an NICC alum that I think is illustrative of one of the benefits and impacts of being able to see this prairie restoration. Something that we have implemented at the Santee campus, and we'd like to broaden to our other campuses as well, and that is taking visual imagery of the landscape. And what you're seeing here, this was taken a few years ago, where we have partnered actually for a number of years through a USDA NEFA grant and Aaron Riley's group. Through that, we've been able to establish this partnership with Platte Basin Time Lapse. They are a group that is based out of the University of Nebraska Lincoln. And their goal is to, they're storytellers and conservationists and understanding changes in the landscape and tracking that through time. And they actually began with, as the name implies, with understanding where the water comes from within the Platte River Basin. And they have time-lapse cameras that's for the North Platte and South Platte through Wyoming and Colorado, and then as the Platte flows into Nebraska. So that was their initial area of focus. And now they're broadening to other river basins and other areas. But so this partnership began a few years ago. Here is an under the hood look at one of the time-lapse cameras and its little shelter there. And if you're interested in hearing more about this partnership, about how students have been a part of this project or being impacted by this work, working with environmental departments on tribal lands, as well as actually the flood of 2019. That was a big emphasis for this USDA grant that we got and for this partnership as well. We conducted some interviews with community members on the impact of the March 2019 flood, the bomb cyclone, the intense flood that a lot of us here in Nebraska and Iowa have experienced and are still experiencing, I'm sure, the long-term impacts of that. So if you're interested in a longer story about this, then you can copy that URL below. And again, this is something that we talk about in our environmental courses at NICC and have students looking at this imagery and understanding changes in the landscape over time.
Martha, we did put that link in the chat, so that will go out to everyone and it'll be quite accessible.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Years ago, so I first started working with NICC in about 2011 when I was still at UNL, and like I said, we were successful in getting some grant dollars. I think it was just prior to COVID, if I remember correctly. And what we wanted to do was help to enhance environmental monitoring. That's if you look across Indian country, and I'm sure all of you are aware of this, there is a definite lack of monitoring it in this type of way. So having weather stations or water or soil monitoring that's been going on long term. Sometimes it's difficult to get a hold of that information. And so what we're trying to do is enhance that um, uh, for tribal lands, but starting locally with land at the college itself. And so back in 2013, myself and a colleague from UNL helped to put up some weather instrumentation, and it'd been running okay, but we thought, it's time for a refresh. And so starting last year, we got our first station out, and here's the design that you see here. And this is Rosalind. She's a student that I've been working with um, my entire time, in fact, that I've now been with the college. And so she had an AHEC internship actually this summer on climate and climate resiliency. And so we've got this new one up at the Santee campus. Rosalind is working, she's a member of the Omaha tribe of Nebraska. So we're working with the Omaha tribe and their environmental department and realty director on where do we put more of these stations out if people want them, and data access and what that looks like. So we're looking at all those kinds of considerations, but it's observing all the standard weather variables like air temperature, relative humidity, winds, precipitation, lightning. It even does. We've got some soil parameters as well to track moisture and temperature. And I just thought I would include a little snippet of information here that we got you can tell when we installed it. Here it was middle of July of this year, and this is a heat index temperature. And so we can see how many hours during the day, in fact, did we have a heat index above 100 or 110? When was it, when were there's the potential for heat stress. We have other calculated variables such as wind chill temperature, growing degree days, and those kinds of things as well. So our real focus is to try and track these current and emerging conditions. And one way that we are delivering this information is through a climate summary. And here is just a little bit of a snippet of what the climate summary looks like. But you are more than welcome to send me an email at the address here if you'd like to be on our mailing list, and you can sign up to get these updates once a month. And one thing you'll notice here is we are incorporating some language, native language, with these summaries. And it's meant to be a relatively quick and easy to understand, easy to digest snapshot of what are the current conditions, what are the current weather conditions, the river, is there drought going on? What are the changes that we've seen over time, and what does the outlook? So the seasonal climate outlook, are we projected to persist in drought, or is that likely to alleviate? So giving that perspective of just what's going on in terms of our weather and emerging environmental conditions. And then this year, I'm going to be offering a webinar once a month to so that people can join, and there's a way that we can talk about the issues that we're seeing, and we could just discuss this as a group and talk through what sort of environmental concerns do people have, and how are people dealing with it, and sharing lessons learned and those kinds of things. So that's one way that we're getting this environmental information out and into the community. Um, Water, it's vital for our health, for our well-being. We're very connected to the landscape. This image, you're looking north across the Missouri River, so into South Dakota. We're standing on the Nebraska side, and this is what a time-lapse image. So one of those cameras that we saw earlier, there's one that is looking north across the river. So our Santee, the reservation, the community of Santee is right along the Missouri River. The Omaha and Winnebago reservations in 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 southeast Nebraska, those also border the river. So water is obviously a really important resource for us. We know that access to clean water is problematic across Indian country, and that also holds true for these communities that NICC serves. In fact, the community of Santee, they have been without available drinking water. So we've not been able to drink the water that comes out of the tap for more than 5 years. Since the flood of 2019, there's been an issue with high levels of manganese for the community of Santee. Manganese is naturally occurring, but this issue was discovered after the flood, and so they're still working through and figuring out a way to access clean and safe drinking water. It has been shipped in, bottled water has been shipped in since that time, and I believe the solution or the resolution that they've come up with is piping it, getting it from South Dakota, and then accessing it through a pipe. So that's what they're currently looking at. So there are significant water issues for these areas, and that is also a significant part of our programming as well, in terms of awareness of issues and access to clean water and education in these areas. So I just wanted to talk about it in the sense of some of the issues that are facing the communities, as well as kind of what we're doing to monitor these issues, and then incorporating these ideas into our curriculum and environmental science coursework at the college. Just briefly about energy. So several years ago, the college worked with a small business that is based out of Northeast Nebraska. It's called GC Revolt. And we did install solar panels. So this is the array that's on the Santee campus. There's also an array at the Macy campus. And renewables or solar, at the moment, that meets 35% of the college's energy requirements. So there is this effort to work more toward renewables and more toward local generation of electricity. Within the last few years, there's been a couple of new hires in for faculty at the college, and the focus of these new faculty is on health and both microbiology, so looking at the very small things, as well as public health. Um, brand new, so this is really exciting. For fall of this year, the college is going to be offering a bachelor's degree in Indigenous environmental health. This was years in the making in terms of development, and we've had an outside committee that's helped in this effort. There's a lot of people at the college who have worked very hard to develop this curriculum. Just last month, we had representatives from the Higher Learning Commission do an on-site visit, so all of us mobilized to the campus and put our best foot forward. And so we're really happy to share this new bachelor's degree. So this will be the second bachelor's degree that the college will offer. So again, business administration with a focus on tribal nation building, and now Indigenous environmental health. And you're welcome to contact me if you'd like to know more about this, but that's new for the fall. So we're really excited about that. And this is one of our TAs. She focuses mostly on chemistry. So Kutsia is her name, and she's works great with the students. And then finally here, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the collaborations that we have at the college that are ongoing and that we're building. One of the longstanding collaborations is University of South Dakota. And so this is a group of folks from University of South Dakota, some faculty, some students, NICC faculty, staff, and students. So I know my camera's not working. This is me right here. And there's my student Rosalind. This is, if you can see the arrow there on my mouse. This is Dr. Megan Muri Mazariegos. Has a specialty in neuroscientist. So she's one of our faculty that's leading the Indigenous Environmental Health program. And yeah, it's this collaborative work is really great. It provides students exposure to other universities that are out there. Brings four-year degree programs maybe more accessible to our students. We get some laboratory experience maybe that we can't provide at the college. We can work toward proposals with these other universities. So these collaborations have been really good for the college, and several of them have been longstanding. We always look for new and other opportunities to collaborate with others. So I'll just offer that for those of you that if something sparked your interest in what I've talked about so far, we're always open to collaboration. And then finally, I just wanted to mention that NICC is a co-lead on something called the Climate Adaptation Partnership Program. So this these are climate centers that are funded and established by NOAA that are more issue and community based, and these tend to bring together physical and social science and work towards community-based issues and increasing community resilience. Um, this one, the University of Iowa is the lead, and NICC, Iowa State University, and the University of Nebraska Lincoln are the other main partners on that. And our efforts are to focus on increasing resilience with Indigenous communities and women landowners. So that's the focus of our Midwest CAP, which is called CoLearn. Some of you may be familiar with these programs. They were called the Regional Integrated Sciences and Assessments. So some of you may know them as RISAs, but now they are the Climate Adaptation Partnership programs. So this is really exciting. This was one of our first meetings. We're at Niobrara State Park, which is kind of at the confluence of the Niobrara and the Missouri River in northeast Nebraska. So there's our group. And we have just started year 2 of a 5-year funding line that we have. So really excited that NICC is one of the co-lead institutions for this program.
Martha, who's your other co-lead? I missed that on
So
the NOAA program.
yeah, University of Iowa is the lead institution.
Okay, thanks.
NICC, Iowa State, and UNL are kind of the 4 primary.
Great, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I wanted to share with you today. It was sort of quick, just kind of a broad brush overview of what we're doing, again, primarily in the environmental science space. NICC does a lot of other great things, but I just wanted to highlight that for today and for this group. And here you're seeing a nice image of the Earth Lodge that we have at the Macy campus. So I would welcome any questions if there's time for any.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much, Martha. And we do have some time for questions if we have any questions for Martha. Martha, maybe stop sharing your screen and then I'll be able to see. There we go. Now I can maybe see if we have any questions coming up. I don't know if you're seeing the comments, Martha, but super interesting. Thank you. It's great to see all the amazing work you are doing. Enjoyed the overview. Excellent work. You guys are busy, that's for sure. Maureen.
Yeah, so a couple questions. One is, how do we get more information? You went through a whole lot of things.
Yes.
I was trying to keep track of notes, and I wondered if this kind of stuff is covered in your newsletter. But in particular, you talked about the what was it, Indianpreneurial program, which I thought was brilliant. Love to hear more about that. And information about how you're networking your meteorological sensors and how we can connect with folks on that. So how do we get to sort of another level of depth, and anything that we can share on the Native Climate website, we would love to showcase your activities at NICC.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. Um, Well, I guess first of all, want to be signing up for that newsletter if you have an interest specifically in weather and climate information. Um, I'm trying to think of the best way to connect with the college. I guess I would recommend just reaching out to me, and I'd love to have a follow-up discussion with anybody if you're interested in a specific thing and diving deeper into a topic that I covered. Then I'd love to have a follow-up with you. That might actually be best because
Okay.
I've I'm not aware of for the college as a whole, we don't have like a quarterly newsletter. We have an annual state of the college, but we don't have something similar that goes out on a shorter time frame. But yeah, I'm sorry I don't have the best answer for you now, but I would say just contact me and we will talk about the specific aspect that you're interested in, and I'll figure out what's the best way to stay connected and learn about, what's going on at the college. Social media may be although I'm personally not on social media a lot, but I know I know some information is distributed through Facebook. So if you happen to be on that platform, then you could try that. I'm a little reluctant to suggest people to go that route. So
Okay, so Vicky just put your email in the chat, and I will certainly do that. Kudos to you for covering such a broad range of climate. We'd love to share some of the resources. We have our partnership with the hubs in the area, and then also be able to share some of your things back. So I will follow up with you. Thank you, Martha.
great. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? Danelle.
Hi, Martha. It's Danelle. I'm just out of pure curiosity. I'm interested in kind of where the next students are coming from. I know you listed maybe the number of tribes, but like geographically, where do most of your students come from?
Yeah, they are, as far as I'm aware, they are mostly from Plain States. It is geared mostly Nebraska, South Dakota, Kansas. So it does kind of zero in on the Central Plains. We did have an agreement with Pawnee Nation College, although that got dissolved. But we have a contingent that does come from Oklahoma. And then aside from that, it is kind of scattered and more broad. But I would say the primary focus for our students is those local students that are from the specific communities of the chartered tribes, and then it kind of broadens outward, but with kind of a bigger group of students from the Central Plains.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Good to see you,
And
Danelle.
You too.
do you have partnerships directly with the Climate Hub?
To my
I,
knowledge, there is not an articulated agreement with the Northern Plains Climate Hub. I'm familiar with them personally just from my previous role, but I would be happy to have conversation about what does that look like for the hub and ICC.
And of course, our Midwest Climate Hub works very closely with Iowa State. So I've heard a lot from them about the new
Yeah.
cap.
Yes.
Great. Well, I'm not hearing any other questions. Okay. Thank you so much, Martha. That was so interesting. And I think we'll be doing some follow-up. If you missed her email, anyone that wants to have me connect you with Martha, just shoot me an email and I will get that done as well. We have invited for next month in February, a gentleman that works at the University of Hawaii, and we are asking him to speak on the regrowth of Maui. And I have not heard yet if he can be on. He thought we meant January, so he said no. And then, as always, we need our drought update from Kyle, and that will take place in March. And as always, if you have anyone that needs added, let me know. If you have any topics that you think would be of interest to this working group, please let me know. It's so good to see so many of you that we haven't seen in a while. So great attendance, and I'll give you back 8 days of your 8 minutes in your day. There we go. Thank you, guys.